I mean, I don't know what else we're gonna do with our lives, but channel energy and uplift society through our being. You know, it's the only thing to do, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
This also may be a good time to get out one of the battery chargers. Are we on?
Yes.
We're on already?
Yes.
Alright, you gotta cue me up. Let me know. I guess it doesn't matter either way. It's gonna be saying the same thing typically. But those are things that can clog me up. The observance of it, just sitting there like, is it on? Is it not on? 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 You know, the whole questioning, observance, wondering what the stats are here, or what the facts are here, or what the information here is in a clear manner. So yeah, if you can just give me a signal or something like, hey, here it is, it's up. There you go. Carry on. It's not like I wasn't gonna keep talking the exact same thing I was talking, but you know, in some way, it's just kind of nice to know, kind of a safety net or something. Just makes you feel good to not have the wonder. You know, oh, there we are, we're right there. See, for me, it's always been curiosity killed the cat kind of a thing, except for when it killed me, it brought me back to life in the greatest way ever. So, but it was curiosity. You know, I would learn something, and I wouldn't know about it fully, and so I would want to know more about it. You know, I would want to know about it fully. I would want to be able to explain it and articulate it. I would want to be able to teach it and share it to other people. And I knew that the things I was learning were esoteric or flimsy, or they were seemingly insane or crazy to the common collective, you know, to the mainstream collective, to the most common source in consciousness from where I was that I had my current placement in. And so it brought necessity to be able to articulate myself quite well and in a way of intelligence, so that they would see that what I was saying was not a lie, it was not fabricated truths, that it was actually something that they themselves could do and could prove, that they could experience very easily within the present moment. Originally, I would bring people into energy practice. I was doing energy practice myself. When I was 14, I was taught by a friend of mine who was typically a liar, actually, Lino Morales, Lino Valentino Morales. You can look him up on Facebook if you want. I don't know. He probably is one of the only people with that name, Antolino. Anyways, don't worry. I mean, you guys can try. He's probably at least one more of those guys out there. It doesn't matter. And who knows if he has his full name up there. Childhood friend. I like to say things that I'm afraid to say, so it's like, oh, you don't want to share your buddy's name. Oh, you don't want to say this. You don't want to say that, you know. And, you know, consciousness has no worry or fear about these things. Consciousness has no judgment. Consciousness is like, whatever. Say it all. Say anything. I don't care. Say shit, fuck, damn, this, that, whatever you want to say, just say it. Just allow it to purge on through, pulsate itself into existence. Oh, you're afraid of saying it? Well, say it. Go ahead and say it then. You're afraid of saying it to that person specifically? Okay, please. Please say it to that person specifically in the worst possible manner. Go ahead and say it. It's going to be awesome. Did you hear that? It sounded like a dog growling. Oh, huff and puff. We had a coyote living right behind us last night. Well, I don't think he was living there, but he come on in. It was either a coyote or a fox. I've seen a fox before. Fox usually doesn't have that long and low hanging of a tail. That tail and that color pattern, even though it was nighttime, I could tell the color pattern, shades and all. And yeah, it really looked like a coyote. It was amazing. I woke up in the middle of the night. I was like, ooh, javelina maybe. You know, I'm like, I heard something nearby us. I don't see anything. Doesn't sound like the grunting of an oafish javelina. They're so sweet and cute. Don't mean to call them all oafish as if they're not the best. Anyways, so I was like, well, I guess we're good. I guess I'll go back to bed. Whoa! And then out come a freaking coyote, run out from here, run across here, run over that way. I was hearing a bunch of coyotes. I thought to myself just before I sat down, I was like, well, at least there won't be any coyotes over here. and you know, that kind of a thought feeling always makes me feel like maybe there will be something, you know. I thought maybe we'd have a whole herd of the suckers. What do they call them? What a pack. You know, a pack of coyotes in this little tiny Arroyo, which we're back in, by the way. Nobody ever told me not to be here. I never made such an agreement. And she did, though. Thank goodness for our lucky assistant over here, the videographer. Very beautiful. By the way, say good morning to Miss Ray. She could introduce herself as another name if she wishes, but we've introduced her already as Ray, so her nice stage name, Ray Nifoso Lonti Do, very beautiful. Here she is, smiling, bright and gorgeous. Working on her beautiful toes. Look at her feet just here. God, aren't they just gorgeous? Look at her moving them. She's got a little extra bone thing going on right here. So we're really trying to open up the toe for the accessibility possible. You know, moving in all of the possible routes. That's going to really be helpful. There may be some routes unavailable to her that are available to her other foot due to the lack of extra bones in this foot. But we're going to see what we can do, opening that thing up the most that it could possibly. And she's doing a very great job. A lot of concentration, a lot of patience, a lot of practice, a lot of seeing the necessity, giving her the skillful means, the driving will, the male, the masculine, the formed mentality that will give her the hyper focus and moving through whatever it is that's blocking the motion of her feet. Reflexology, you know, showing that the feet, the positionings, the way they sit, all says something about us specifically. And so it's wonderful to open up her toe channels, her heart channels, her life channels, and to get into a nice firm rooted position with movement and flow, which will actually describe the way in which she's able to carry out her life. If you're able to step in a certain way, you're able to do in a certain way, you're able to exude yourself in a certain manner, that could be seen to be beneficial or harmful, depending on which it is that we're perceiving. And if it is perceived to be harmful, we may wish to look at this to see how that perceiving it to be harmful, to coming into that awareness can be of great benefit for not only ourselves, but for other individuals as we learn, and then share the experience of our learning, even share the experience of during the process of learning, so that people don't just think it comes miraculously, oh my goodness, overnight this man became the greatest person ever. No, no, no. It took steps, it took learning, it took growth, it took rising to the top and then falling to the bottom and then rising to the top and falling to the bottom. Now, this doesn't always have to be a physical rising and falling to the bottom. This could also be a mental rising and falling to the bottom, to where I feel extremely confident and then all of a sudden I feel like the most dreary, depressed, insane, hopeless individual. I wish to die and suicide, whatever it is. And I just move on through from this to that to the other. The sharing of the entire duration of the experience is what's going to show everybody that they are ordinary, that they are human, but they are extraordinary as humans. And that's wonderful, you know. Showing that, yes, we go through pain, we go through strife, we go through fear, we go through shame, we go through doubt, we go through insecurity, anxiety. We have moments that we lacked confidence so much that we didn't follow our heart the way we wished to. We have all of these different things going on and occurring, and their amazing, phenomenal wisdom, their phenomenal compassion, their phenomenal experiences, completely perfect in every way, and for us to finally be able to share ourselves naturally as we are, as we have been, what we thought, what we think, what we've been through, what we're going through, what we may still be going through later, all kinds of things with dissonance, with this, with that. We may see through the sharing of ourselves, our internal spirit, our internal thoughts, what we believe, what we don't believe, what we know, what we don't know, what we're afraid of, what we're not afraid of. We may find such an amazing common ground and understanding for one another and each other's growth processes wherever we happen to be, that an amazing spaciousness becomes naturally provided as we provided it here for ourselves. We now have the amazing capability, the ease of transfer to provide that for everything else. And this is a phenomenal, easy, natural, quick, effortless process. And it just starts with really caring and having understanding for ourselves, giving space to ourselves, giving love to ourselves, speaking with ourselves, you know, providing for ourselves a mothering, a fathering, a nurturing, an unconditionally loving nature, a forgiveness, and lack of judgment that will allow us to not only provide that here for each of us individually, but for each of us to also then transfer that to each and one another collectively, which essentially will eventually be able to be seen as one and the same thing, which is quite the beauty. Once you start giving it here, eventually it'll transmit here. Then once you start giving it here, it will almost immediately then start transmitting here. It will be so much faster almost, in a sense. Of course, in this way, comparison can be skewed. It could be the same speed, preferably seen. And eventually, in non-duality, seeing everything in the endless knot-style structure of what it is, we will be able to always see that, yes, it is indeed going at the exact same speed, no matter how fast or slow it may seem to be going. The perspective is the only shifter here. Here in this perspective, it seems this, and here in this perspective, it seems this, but here in this perspective, nothing ever seems to have ever moved, as all now moments seem to be set in place in a certain way, past, present, and future occurring in the same time simultaneously. So perspective shift is huge in the difference in which we communicate the information, what we're receiving. So that's why it'll be wonderful when we break this down into a great simplicity, a great basicness, and then we start to work from that skeletal structure, that nervous system that we've created, that amazing tree-like template, that blueprint, which precurses the form in emptiness. Kind of the beginning of form is this blueprint, really, because emptiness itself, vast and limitless, has no form given it. So no name or explanation or boundless or bounding can really happen to its boundless nature. And yet still we're able to bound it in a way by calling it vast, limitless emptiness, and so this being without limit is only being able to be looked at to a point of limit. This limitless emptiness box we put it in kind of creates a frame around it to where even it itself will have to be able to transcend this frame in which we've given it. No matter how far in which we've seen it, we can only see it to the amount in which we've experienced it, and so the amount in which we're able to measure it. If we were to be able to grab it within whole, it being limitless and boundless and infinite would have to then expand even greater than that which was previously perhaps to be perceived as its whole, as it could never again be such a limited form as to extend to the greatest of its reaches. It must forever extend endlessly, beginning and ending simultaneously in all directions, continuously at the same time again, simultaneously. And it will have to do that forever and always to maintain its boundless or its limitless nature in truth. And it is that in truth. It is boundless and it is limitless, and so are we this. And so we can see how we are not separate from this, that we are not less than this, that we are not greater than this, and that we are this fully embodied within this. But we may then be able to extend our bodies, our understanding of our bodies, to include all of the area next to us and all of the area around us. And when we include all of ourselves, kind of like a cell within the body, we will see that no, we are not the size of the entire conglomeration of the body, but in a way we are, because we are the body. And so but we are a cell of the body. And even though within us holds the blueprint of the entire image, you can tell that the entire image is quite much more vast than this singular cell, even though it's working out in a certain way. Now, I would like to give us a greater potentiality than what usually our cells would be perceived to have, because we are a point in awareness that is the pureness of awareness. And so we have an amazing creational ability that comes into our huge capacity for learning once we start to understand what it is we are actually and where we're coming from, where it is that is creating this amazing potential for uniting with all of ourselves in a way of creating manifestation. Now, the way in which we create will no longer be able to be related to us here specifically. Once understanding actually what it is that is occurring, we will then not really be able to tell what is the source point of the creation, as the creation and the need or the want of the creation or the desire to create will be occurring more simultaneous than previously before perceived. And so you will wonder, did I have the want and so it was there? Or was it there and so I had the want? Were these two things happening in symbiosis in order to create the dialogue, the narration of the magnetic attraction that was happening between me and this other object, which was me and me, that were coming into a synchronicity, a frequency, so we had to occur simultaneously together? And when I ate this object or partook of this object in whichever way, that was the way in which our magnetism was meant to bring into connection a singular frequency that was reflective of our meeting in that now moment in which we were occurring. It's really amazing to start to be able to see how things are really here in an amazing utter unison. It'd be wondering which frequency or which sense or which thing begot the next. It'd be really interesting to find out where was the beginning and where was the end, and is it constantly occurring, and when was it occurring first, or is it always occurring at the same time? Breaking into non-duality hugely transcends the current thought process of the mind within the common collective, the common conscious collective, as we are usually thinking quite linearly. We are thinking that this thing must precede this thing. Eventually, you get to the point to where it's like, this looks like the beginning of Earth, but here in this moment that we're in now could be the beginning of the entirety of consciousness. We're really unsure of the source point in its current location in time and how it was that it, expanded so simultaneously into every positioning possible ever to be thought of, and how it continuously does so, infinitely expanding forever into infinity. It's quite amazing, really, and beyond infinity. To infinity and beyond. To quote Buzz Lightyear in Toy Story, the most amazing modern Disney film, along with all the other Disney films, and just everything in existence being the most amazing, of course, bringing them to the most equanimic understanding that yes, you are the best, she is the best, I am the best, we are the best, it is the best in any way in which you wish to describe anything in any form or fashion to any degree and measure. It is the best. 1, 2, 3 is the best, and so is 1, 2, 3, 4, and so is 1, and so is 2, and so is any of the number sequences by themselves or together, no matter how many times you may compile them in any amount of arrangement, in any amount of form. That shit's the best. That's right. That's equanimous right there. That's what that is. So today I was really kind of worried, nervous, like, oh shoot, we haven't done the channel in many days. Who knows how the channel's going to go? Granted, the channel's constantly always moving, whether you're here or not viewing it. We are 100% channeling all the time. We had some good ceremonies, we had some good teachings, we had some good harshnesses. I'm glad that finally Ray has come to the video. The last time we were talking, we were trying to bring you into a harsher dialogue that me and Ray are having when it comes to part of our learning process, expressing agitation, which is more difficult for somebody who's come through a more humble and meek path, a sensitive place. You want to always, relate in a good way with everything. That's how you had the consideration, the compassion to come into such an amazing center focus. So if any of you are working with anxieties and or considerations or anxieties or insecurities, there we go, insecurities, certain lacks of consideration or over considerations is what we're looking for. Over considerations or even lack of a consideration, whatever it is, but I'm talking about the over considerators right now. The people that are overthinkers, the people that are constantly afraid to speak their voice because they don't want to harm anybody, they don't want to cause any ripples, they don't want to make anybody feel bad or whatever it is, so they're always having to monitor their speech and monitor their actions and make sure it's in accordance with all of the people around them. These people have a hypersensitivity and awareness that will maybe lead them to madness, but also this kind of an awareness and hypersensitivity I see to have its a derivation inside compassion. And though it will be seen to be a great ignorant compassion eventually, that it is giving way too much heed to so many different things instead of considering itself and having wisdom for itself, that's more of a discriminating, wrathful compassion style way, bringing in its feminine, its sacred wisdom, its great, amazing sexuality, divinity, its rootedness, its harshness, its agitation, its ferocity, but this amazing ignorant compassion is what really will lead somebody quite quickly and amazingly when, coupled with medicine, ceremony, and all kinds of different wisdoms and teachings. For this compassion, they're going to seek wisdom because they're really going to try to figure out how to bond with every single being in a really good way. This kind of compassion is the hypersensitivity necessary to weave amazing tiny strands and frequencies because you really have to care. And so it's wonderful to care in this way. Of course, eventually, like I said, it'll lead you to an utter insanity, which luckily for you may be the breaking point in societal focus, that you will be so confused and so wrought with care that you will have no choice but to tear yourself away from society in a manner that will show you the true purity of your identity, that you are the meek that shall inherit the earth, that you are the humility embodied necessary to understand all of reality to the tiniest of its frequencies, that you care so much that you will care for even the most subtle of things, the tiniest of insects, that If you kick over a rock in aggression, you wonder how it ripples the entirety of all of consciousness, and you worry about hurting the most invincible thing in the world with your tiny nigger foot or hand. This is a beautiful amount of care. So, for all of you out there caring to this level of degree, thank you. For all of you out there not caring to this level of degree, thank you. Because without you caring the way that you did so perfectly, we would not be able to have the contrast of the other care to be able to articulate this level of understanding with ourselves. So if you're thinking of yourself as neural passageways right now in some kind of a weird geometric grid, you can understand that unless this neural passageway can say to this neural passageway this particular chord shape, this neural passageway and this neural passageway can never come to the information that brings upon this level of understanding. And so, thank goodness that we have had these contrasts in order to view, oh, when I stab myself with a knife, it hurts. Oh, when I don't stab myself with a knife, it doesn't hurt. Now that we have this contrast, we know maybe how we wish to conduct ourselves. If you like being stabbed, then you're going to learn that, fuck yes, being stabbed is better than not being stabbed. And if you don't like being stabbed, then you're going to learn, fuck yes, not being stabbed is way better than being stabbed. And so each of us can conduct ourselves based on our life choices and what it is that we truly desire, based on whatever it is that's been given to us in the contrast of our lives. And we can find that whoever likes whichever is completely perfectly in their placement, because we need to see this in order to provide us the movement necessary to come into centering that will be for each one of our highest benefits based on our liking. Each one of us will find that even though it may seem extreme, that there may be somebody that does like to be stabbed, that eventually that person will see that the reason for that liking of being stabbed is a dissonance in not being able to love themselves and their body and their vessel in a certain manner, and that they will eventually be able to do so and find out what's going on with that. But it's also a giant teaching and showing that, we can transcend all kinds of parts of the mind with our perception, that a person could like being stabbed and a person could like not being stabbed. How amazing that two people could exist side by side and experience such different realities. Now, maybe if we add whatever it is that's going on with either of them together, we can transcend the senses and move away from the grasping of preference. And in that way, we can move to a versatility within our reality that brings us to formlessness. And if we can come into that formlessness and that effortless place that is the most amazing limitlessness of our true existence, we can come into a place that releases all judgment and binding of all of reality and frees all karmas to move with fluidity and effortlessness in the most amazing bliss. That we can create this amazing consciousness in a way of phenomenal, natural, effortless motion that would be so amazing that we unbind our focuses and allow ourselves to truly be free. That we no longer judge ourselves in such a way that we clog the flow of anything. That I don't look at that being and say, hey, let me lead you this way, when actually they're moving quite effortlessly, perfectly. Now, if something wishes to come with me and allow me guiding it, then it would simply have to be in symbiosis. I have no wish and desire to guide you. I'm guiding myself. If somebody wants to come up with me and we work together completely synchronistically, then I'm all about the benefit. If it seems to be in symbiosis. Right now, Ray hangs out with me, and it actually is an extreme, huge benefit to me because I channel consciousness constantly. So to have somebody with me to do videography, to make love with, to kiss, to sing to have a friend to just constantly speak to is a really amazing, wonderful thing. To have somebody to help and to guide and to help me learn how the moment is moving through me, to help everything was really phenomenally amazing. To be around a being so clear and so present and so dedicated that the truth can come out, and that she also has the ability to speak truly to me, and that I will be able to then receive the perception of how her frequency is taking the teaching that comes through me, which is me constantly breathing. And it can be very, very heart-racking, very fear-stricken, very hard to trust the frequency moving through me because I don't get to see it. And so I only get to hang out with each syllable, and I don't know the entire duration of what's been said. Was it good? Did it make sense? Did it articulate in a way that was in sequence with itself? Or did it just go this way or that way or the other way? What was happening with it? Was it a beautiful song, or was it just 3 notes and then 3 odd notes and then another 3 odd notes that even go together in any way? Or was it like 20 songs put into one? Was it one actual song? What was it like? Was it a beautiful art? How do people perceive this? How are you perceiving this? And if you've been around of unclear mirrors, around a lot of unclear mirrors that aren't honest and aren't able to give each other a compliment because they don't give themselves a compliment, aren't able to say to something, hey, this was beautiful, because they've never said to themselves that they are beautiful. If you've never been around, or you've been around so many unclear mirrors, or whatever it is, if you've never been around a clear mirror and been around so many unclear ones, it can be the most great blessing to be around a clear mirror. What I've been finding in this amazing story, in this amazing place, in this amazing life, is that I myself am a very, very, very clear mirror. And so I love anything to be around me because I can reflect for it. I can express for it, I can help it. And if something's willing to dedicate itself and be there fully for its growth, then we can work really amazingly together. If it doesn't want to fight and combat me, then we're doing phenomenal. And this amazing being is so meek and humble and sweet and amazing, just the most perfect, phenomenal radiance of the most genuine being. Oh my goodness, the clearest mirror that I've ever seen. How amazing are you, Ravi Fasolatido? Dear Caroline, how I love you. And yeah, she's just been here amazingly able to transmit frequencies, amazingly able to grow. We had a phenomenal ceremony. I was like her grandfather and many other beings. I told you a little bit about this during toe exercise yesterday. Toe meditation, however it is we wish to explain this in the greatest amount of impeccabilities and the greatest amount of specific articulations to really bring truth and honor to every one of these frequencies, whether it's seemingly be mundane or ordinary or extraordinary, that they all are here perfectly existing and adorning themselves in the most divinity of frequencies, like Miss Ray here. And what a beautiful blessing she's been to me, getting us water, doing this, doing that, doing all these many different things, and we've been sharing all kinds of tasks, but it's just been so wonderful to be here with someone and have this amazing grounding and be able to speak to her and live with her and grow with her and do motion with her and all of these things. So I'm happy again to bring her more into the videos and bring her into the growth. She's agreed that it would be nice to show her growth and show what's going on. She's going to be a fast grower for us, folks. If only you would have met her originally, you could have seen the growth that's already been occurring. She's quite less bashful than before, much more open expressor. Her voice has become much more loud. It was like this squeaky little mouse of a voice, and it may be that way too for the beginning of the videos. It might go back. It may become much louder than when I'm around. I'm kind of her biggest fear. She really looks good on me now and sees me as a limitless channel of consciousness, beautiful, blissful emptiness. So much so to where she thinks she controls my reality. Sometimes she's like, "Oh God, he's reflecting so perfectly. I must be making him do this." And it's like, well, I'm definitely like kind of an empty thing occurring, and so I can't say if it could be perceived that way or not, but I'm pretty sure, I'm just doing my own thing constantly. I don't have anybody's energy seemingly upon me in that kind of a way, though I do see that anybody I express to, it's got to be quite relevant to them. But I really just see it as expressing from my own self and my own experience that is happening, currently. And so it would be tough for us in this situation to see which one's creating this situation, her or I. And I think it'd be a good time to maybe change the camera view. I think you were right that the camera on that angle is going to hurt my neck, and that it would be nice to have it changed, And I would get up and change it myself, but you see there's a funny thing happening here. You could see me as a lazy person, but I'm very much not lazy. I'm moving a lot of energy currently. And it's just a phenomenal centering that's happening for me, if I want to stay in this channel most effortlessly, it'd be helpful to have somebody here with me helping me do so. So if somebody could see the benefit in the channel, then they would, just authentically desire to be of help and service to me, allowing these amazing energy teachings and wisdoms to come through from the whole of consciousness as it's centering on this point that we happen to be in. And because it's centering on the focal point that's myself, I happen to be the greatest grounding rod, so it comes through really clear.